Well, good morning, our beloveds. We are moving through life, aren't we? So many contrasts in life are showing up. We want to give some more meaningful tips for getting through the holidays. First of all, recognize that other people are displaced or are angry or are frustrated or feeling unloved. So just expect people to not be on their best behavior. And while it hurts you or irritates you or frustrates you, just know that it is not personally designed because of who you are. It is just their response to life. If you meet a dog that is terrified and you kind of back him into a corner, he's going to snarl and bite and attack because he feels unsafe. And that is what the human body does too when people are unkind to one another. They feel unsafe in some way, which simply may be that they feel unheard. But regardless, humans are not very well behaved right now because the stress is running pretty high. Number 2, limit your alcohol intake. It disrupts your brain function. It takes your thinking part of the brain offline and in many ways encourages you to make not ideal situations that you may or may not even regret. You may or may not even remember. So limit your alcohol intake and just be present and witness what it feels like this year, if you can. Number 3, limit your sugar and your dairy intake. Neither are good for your body for a variety of reasons, unless you're a cow. Believe us when we say that the dairy is a coagulant and it fosters bacterial growth in your body. So just don't. And the sugar is an excitoneurotoxin in one form or another, especially if it comes from corn syrup. But regardless, it stimulates your nervous system and it's not ideal. Avoid or limit your caffeine intake, believe it or not. It's also not good and it over-regulates your system from a different perspective. If your body expects to have caffeine every morning to get jump-started, well, it will need that. And it will burn adrenaline that you may not have, and it may force your body to be eternally damned, not literally, but your body needs to function in a balanced state. And when you force your body to unnaturally exert energy that it may not have, your adrenals are being squeezed, and there is a long-lasting impact, which is not ideal. Think adrenal fatigue in one form or another, though that is also an energetic issue. But there's also a physical component to it as well. When you overgive and overlive, your body gets tired, and when it's time to shut down, it shuts down, believe it or not. And lastly, watch uplifting media. Don't watch what is depressing. Keep informed, but don't obsess and don't overwatch. And really don't watch, maybe just watch the headlines. Becoming you means finding acceptance of the world that you live in, including the harmful, the hateful, the atrocious things that are occurring. These are things to a certain extent that have always occurred. This is nothing new, believe it or not. This is human nature at its worst, and to a certain extent at its best, as you see people standing up and saying, no more, finally, no more. The difference is that you guys are watching it live now versus reading about it 3 months later versus never hearing about it because there was no technology to share what was happening elsewhere in the world. And it's a funding issue too, right? Those who fund war benefit from war. It's just the reality of it. So when you find things that uplift you, that remind you of the goodness of humanity, maybe watch something in the animal kingdom where the mama is nurturing her babies and also takes in an orphan and nurtures and raises that one as her own. Because genocide is harmful. It's damaging. And it makes you feel unsafe in this world, because if that can be done to one people, you know it can be done to you at the core of you, regardless of which side you're on. You know that, but for the grace of God, there go I. So find things in nature that prove that not everyone and everything is at war, that there are other species, other opportunities for things to express love and generosity and compassion. And therein lies the solution. Focus on what you want to build and fight for that. Don't fight against something. Fight for what you desire, for equality, for love, for compassion, for generosity. And then begin to express it in your everyday lives. Find ways where you can share that within your own community, no matter how small, no matter how slight. Be kind to somebody when nobody else is. Be kind to a homeless person and offer them compassion. Look them in the eyes. Tell them, I see you. I'm so sorry that this is where you find yourself. Live organically, and that means be you. Find the loving part within you who loves others, who compares herself to no one, who says, I am actually worthy of being here. I deserve to take up space on this planet because I do matter. I can make a difference. And I'm going to do that in little ways by just being kind and neighborly. And then lastly, and most importantly probably, sleep. A restful sleep. Try to find things that support you. It may be magnesium. It may be CBD. It may be THC. It may be gray noise. It may be melatonin. It may be, believe it or not, drinking milk at bedtime, because it does induce a sleep-like coma effect. Find what disrupts your sleep. If negative thoughts come in or worries, simply say, thank you, I see you, I'll talk to you in the morning. Acknowledge those worries, those thoughts, those intrusive thoughts, and say, we can talk about this in the morning. I need rest right now. Find some compassion for yourself. Find a way to slow down your life, where you find peace and acceptance in the small things. Instead of looking for the big things, go back to COVID. COVID was here to teach you all to slow down and find what's important and let go of what's not. Many of you have lost the point of those messages because you're back in your same old to a certain extent. But recognize that man is meant to change right now, and if you don't, the collective you, we will continue to bring about other experiences that help to remind you of how out of balance you are. Finding you means you need to focus on you. You need to feel your discomfort. You need to feel your pain. You need to feel your losses, and just hug yourself. Put your arms around yourself. Rock back and forth if that helps. Find some kind of a soothing technique that babies oftentimes use. Sucking your thumb is an option, though we wouldn't recommend that. But you get what we're getting at. Do some self-havening, which is just where you stroke your skin like a mama does with her baby, just to remind the baby, you're safe, you're loved, I am here. Find things that would cause a young child to feel safe in their world. For example, when you cry, does somebody pick you up and soothe you? But when you cry, you pick yourself up and you soothe you. Tell yourself what you need. And as silly as it sounds, go back to your childhood and replay and replace those memories with something where you now can show up for yourself. To walk away from unhealthy people, unhealthy situations, visualize that. Where the grown-up you takes the little you, grabs you by the hand, and walks you down the road to safety. Where big you stands up to the bully or bullies in your life and takes little you and walks you down the road to safety. Replay those scary moments and replace them with a happier ending where you begin to regenerate a sense of safety within your body. When you use a lot of these coping mechanisms, you just numb yourself. But ideally, you would reset that part of you that feels unsafe. And it just means replacing bad thoughts with good thoughts. And by being intentional with it, by reminding the younger version within you, I'm here now, you're safe, I've got this, I love you, and you will never be alone again. I love you, I love you, I love you. When they say to look in the mirror first thing in the morning, to look in your eyes, deeply into your eyes and say, I love you, and I see you, it's literally to remind yourself that you are safe, that you are cared for, and that you matter. So these are our holiday suggestions, and honestly, suggestions for year-round, but it's helpful right now because many of you are about to go into a time where you're more stressed than normal, our another included, when you don't have the loving support of family to remind you of how wonderful you are, and you're left to do things on your own. It makes you question your worth, your value, your lovability. And maybe go out and work at a homeless shelter, find those who are less fortunate than you, and give back to them to remind you that there's an entire community of people out there who are also underserved, and that you're not the only one. And if nothing else, it will give you some camaraderie of those lost souls who truly, at the end of the day, just like you, just want to be loved. I want to have a safe space, a safe place to lay their head down at night where they don't need to worry about whether or not they're going to be alive in the morning or have food, shelter, a safe space. It's all about recognizing where you are at and what you can do to offer kindness to somebody else in your own moments of distress, because that is where community and vulnerability is built and developed and created. It is through those deep connections that you will remember, but for the grace of God, there go I. And you will then remember how truly blessed you are in this particular moment. And so it is. Namaste.